Hi everybody, welcome back to Key Wisdom Tarot. My name is Ruth and I'm your Reiki Master and Tarot Reader. This video is all about the energy of the tarot card Temperance, which is number 14 in the Major Arcana, and is also the energy within the tarot that is representative of the sign of Sagittarius. So in this video, we're gonna do four things. I'm going to try to. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to define the word temperance for you and sort of the ideas that we have around temperance. The second thing I'm going to do is we're going to look at the numerology, which is number 14. We're going to look at what we can learn from the numbers and about the energy and about our experiences with the energy. Thirdly, we're going to link it to the sign of Sagittarius. I'll give you a little bit of information about the sign of Sagittarius and we'll look at how that energy coincides with the energy of Temperance. And then finally, I'll give you my overall take on the energy of Temperance, and how I work with energies is really key to that. So if you want any more information about that, you'll have seen that on Instagram actually, if you follow me on Instagram, but if not, you can read that information below. Okay, so excuse me, for those of you that don't know, I create all my videos, my posts, and I make notes, so I'll refer to these just to sort of keep me on track, so I'm not going off on tangents, because you know I love a tangent. Okay, so first of all, what is temperance? Definition of temperance. Okay, so the word, if you looked it up in a dictionary, in a good dictionary, and there are differences, okay, I've got fabulous dictionaries. Don't get me, see, I'm already going off on a tangent. I love dictionaries and I love words, okay, and I love thesauruses. Okay, what can I say? That is who I am. And the word temperance actually means, is defined as moderation, self-restraint, and seasoned control over one's appetite. Okay, now if we think about doing things in moderation, that means that we are measured in our approach. We don't just go in all guns blazing, and neither do we sit meekly in the corner. We are mindful of our inputs, we are mindful of what we do, we are mindful of how much we are meant to be moving forward or putting into a situation. Okay, now overall, when we talk about temperance, we talk about the fact that this is the angel of time. So really people understand temperance as a card of waiting to achieve balance. So eventually, if we wait long enough, things will balance themselves out, things will even themselves out, and within that waiting period, that's a period of healing. Again, these are like traditional views and ideas of temperance. Now in that time of waiting so that we, as I said, eventually get to a place of balance, this leads to our enlightenment, this leads to our awareness being increased, or our understanding expanding. Okay, so this is the sort of the ideas that we hold about temperance. Now when we look at the other imagery on the card, we look at, obviously it's an angel, so this is why we call it the angel of healing, I suppose, and this is why we call it a card of healing, because we are in a time, or in a state of being with temperance, where we have to basically trust in the universe, trust in the unfolding of events. Okay, now we have imagery of 2 cups on here. Now those of you again that are familiar with tarot, you will understand that the cups energy is related to our emotions and our intuitions. Now there are a few other symbolic representations of these cups here, but generally speaking, you know, we will link it in tarot. If we see the temperance energy, we can link it to the cups energy. We can relate it to the idea of a 2 of cups or a soulmate union as well. Okay, so this is these are the imageries that are related to the card. You know, we've also got the energy, the imagery on the card of water, flowing water. You know, water can be is representative in tarot of our emotions and our intuitions. It's also representative of flow, universal energy. That's what ki is. So ki is simply the Japanese word for chi, which you've heard, which everyone who plays Scrabble knows how to spell, because it's QI. And if you get that on a triple word score, man, when you're like running out of letters, man, it's a great word. But anyway, it's much better with a Q. But that's ki just means chi. It's the same as chi. It's the Japanese equivalent, and it's energy, universal energy. So water, the flowing of water is representative of that as well, universal energy. It's also representative of time, the passage of time. It's also representative of the passage of information. So these two vessels here, as I said, they're related to, we can relate them to love and intuition and emotion, but we can also relate these to two different sides of ourselves, or our consciousness and our subconsciousness, or one person and another person. So temperance is actually also quite a spiritual card. It's about this idea potentially of the sharing of ideas telepathically. So, really being able to understand what someone else is thinking, know what someone else is thinking, know what someone else is feeling. It's that openness, that connection to the universe that we look at with temperance, and that temperance really brings forth to us. What else have we got on the card that I need to mention? The fact that we've got 1 foot, the angel's got 1 foot in the water and 1 foot out of the water. So again, it's this idea of going with the flow, but again, it is timely. So it's about patience. It's about the patience will help you. Being patient will help you to understand what your next step is. Okay? So they're the sort of, I suppose, well accepted, reasonable sort of definitions, if you will, of temperance, of the symbolism of the card, and of the definition of the word. Okay, so next I wanted to talk about the numerology of the word of the card temperance. And numerology, I love numerology. I love I'm just gonna have a drink. I love the simplicity of numerology, because actually, there's only 9 original numbers. There's a name for that in Kabbalah, and I can't remember what the name is. It might come to me, but I don't know. There's a name for the first 9, for the numbers 0 to 9. I suppose that's first 10 numbers. Can't remember it, but anyway. So numbers and combinations of numbers can really be very definitive, really, in just focusing our attention. And the number on temperance energy is number 14, 1 and 4. So let's look at the idea of number 14, 1 and 4 first of all. So number 14 is, we've got a number 1, and number 1 is about initiation, new beginnings, that spark of inspiration, that's spark of wanting to do something, to move something, to start something. Okay, that's the beginning thoughts, the beginning, drive, if you will, almost, with number 1. So also with number 1, so this idea of new beginnings, initiation, you starting something. Also with this idea of number 1, we have this idea of success. It's about individual success in a way, number 1. It's focused on you. It's focused on your success. It's focused on your actions. It's focused on your motivations is the number 1. And, what you can do to bring about, how you can affect to bring about your success, what you can do to affect your success. That took me 3 times to say that, but we got there at the end. Okay, and then we've got the number 4. Now, number 4s are a very solid, sturdy number. They're all about our foundations. They're all about the structures in our lives, and the structures in our lives can be our ego, for example, so our sense of who we are. The structures in our lives could be our family, our communities, the ideas that we were brought up with, our religions. Okay, so if we think about number 1 and number 4 together, that's an idea of, wow, you might be starting with number 1, your own journey to discover what your foundations are, what makes up the structures in your life, who you think you are. It's about, in a way, that it's about discovering that, or about beginning to excuse me, to see and to unlock that reality with the card of Temperance or with the number 14. But then in numerology, we always we always add all the numbers up to get to the simplest digit. So as I said, between 0 and 9, and 1 plus 4 equals 5. Now it's interesting when we get to that number, because I've just explained to you what the number 14 adds up to, what it stands for, what it means in numerology. But actually, that's a very different number almost to number 5, to the energies of number 5. You know, ultimately, when we talk about number 5, we talk about changes. We talk about things changing. If you have in tarot one of the cards with number 5 on, that actually talks about like 5 of Wands, for example, 5 of Swords, for example, 5 of Pentacles. Those cards actually speak about experiencing change. It's not just about a change is happening, a change is going to come in the future. It's about you're actually going to be faced with a situation that's going to change you, or that is changing you fundamentally in some way. So this is what we also need to think about Temperance. Now, if we think about Temperance as a card about time, a card about healing, a card about timely healing, a card about our input and our measured approach to things, if we think about that in that respect, it's about, or if we think about Temperance in that respect, we recognize that actually that in itself is something that leads to change. Does that make sense? So if we think about, as I said, the definition of temperance, having a balanced approach, having a measured approach to things, if we think about it in that respect, we recognize that actually when we see temperance, we are actually experiencing change. We're already experiencing changes. We're thinking already about our approach to things and who we are. And time, you know, we talk about time being a great healer. You know, it's not just because, you know, days pass and because those days or those years have passed, we feel better. So people can feel in 10 years about a job or about a boss or about a bully at school. They can feel the same in 10 years time as they do today, or that, you know, you get what I'm saying. So actually it's not necessarily time in itself, you know, the days going by and, you know, the days going by that is, or the years going by that actually leads to change. So what is it that leads to that change? And I talk about the fact, I mean, I might as well do this now for you, because we think about temperance, as I said, about a kind of waiting, a kind of I'm waiting, or I've been waiting, and now it's time to move forward. But I get a different sense of temperance in the sense that it's not really about the fact that you've been waiting. It's not really about the fact that those days have happened. It's about how have you felt in those days, in those years, in those months? How have you been feeling? What have you been listening to? What have you been telling yourself? Have you heard yourself telling yourself these things? This is how we can use temperance in order to lead us to gain understanding, to this enlightenment that is offered with this energy. So finally, I came to in numerology, we've got number 14. Now, 14 divided by 2, as you know, is 7. Now, 7 is an interesting number. I have spoken, all I've done is banged on about the number 7 for the past 2 months. But but it's because of, you know, where Venus has been. And then I can't even remember, October. I can't remember what happened. It's that long ago. But you can check out my videos from that month. And you'll see there's a number 7 video in the Key Wisdom playlist. So you can see the reasonings behind it, how we get there. But the number 7 I just wanted to mention, because with temperance, there's also this idea of opposite forces. Opposite forces being brought into balance. Opposite forces being balanced and aligned. So, for example, life and death, failure and success, sorrow and happiness. Those are things that come with temperance. Those events, if you will, those moments come after temperance or with the energy of temperance helping us along. And it's about that balance, really, that the balance with our mindful approach and our mindful acceptance of what we're actually experiencing. So that got me thinking about the energy of the number 7, and about how 7 is about challenges. And it's sort of, because it's these two sides, because it's these two cups, because there's these two halves almost, and something in between. So for me, it's got a similar sort of energy to the number 7, and to the mysteries, understanding the mysteries. Remember, if I talk about number 7s, it's about understanding the mysteries of our lives, understanding the mystery of life, but understanding the mystery of life, i.e., who are you, why are you here, what did you do to get here. When I say why are you here, you could stretch that out for, it could be why you sat at your kitchen table right now watching this video, or it could be, why are you born at this time in this world, etc. So, you can stretch that, you can expand that question as far as you like. But 7 is a number of challenge. So actually, this waiting, when we're always being asked to wait, it will all happen in good time, it will all happen, it'll all balance itself out in the future, and it will, generally speaking. But that is in itself challenging, to be there, to be in that energy, to wait for something to happen. And again, I think that actually by us tarot readers, well, it's not about dissing anybody, I'm just saying it, by us tarot readers saying, yeah, this is about waiting, it's about healing. It's about more than just waiting. It's about more than, you don't just heal because time has passed. As I said, something happens in that space in between, and that space in between is temperance. Okay, so the challenge of temperance is trying to be mindful of that and try to be in flow with that. What are you hearing in those moments in between? It's like when I do the job that I do, doing my tarot readings, etc. The urge or the want is that you want to, film as many videos as you can, because the more videos you and content you put out there, the more money that you make. So you have that sort of, you kind of want to do that, but ultimately you cannot do that because it's exhausting. But also because this time is important. You need the space in between, because actually this is where I've learned so much in the times when I'm not speaking to people, when I'm not, when I'm not doing readings, when I'm not doing personal readings or recording for the channel. I learn so much about everything, about life, about different energies, about different people, about all sorts of things I learn. And so it's really the space in between that you need. You need that space, you need that quiet, you need that peace in order that we can gain that clarity. So don't think of, I think from now on, I'm not going to talk about temperance as a waiting energy, because it's not about waiting. It's about the moments in between. Now, I'm going to talk about the links to Sagittarius now quickly for temperance. And there are some really interesting ideas about Sagittarius. So first of all, let's look at the energy of Sagittarius. Very simply, the sign of Sagittarius is, you might not know this, Sagittarius, you should, is yes about action, yes about expansion. And if you think about the word expansion, that's not just in a physical way, going somewhere, seeing things, seeing the world. It's not just about that. Expansion is about broadening your mind, opening your mind being open to all possibilities, in a sort of, in a practical way, but also in a spiritual way. And I think that that's what's really good about a Sagittarius, is that you're a motivated Sagittarius. You dream big, and not only do you dream big, that you take action. And really the action, the dreaming and the action that you take to bring those things about, even if no one else ever sees them, that is really a source of personal, it fills your cup, doing that, doing your own work, going in your own directions, you know, finding out the things that you want to find out, broadening your mind and your horizons. Those are the things that, even if no one else is involved in that process, for you, that's what fills your cup up. And I think that actually for some Sagittarians, I don't even know if you really are fully aware that of how significant expansion is for you, you know, that enlightenment, how expansion is, how important that is for you as a Sag, as a sign, because actually that's what feeds you, that's what drives you, you know, the having the idea and going for the idea, going for it, you know, doing, you know, I don't know, starting the business or doing the traveling for 6 months or whatever it is. It can be small, it can be, you know, reading every Harry Potter in 6 weeks, for example. You know, I don't know, whatever, but it can be anything. That wouldn't be a small tap feat, would it, actually? But you know what I'm saying? But it could be anything. But those are things for you, Sagittarius, that actually help you to connect with who you are. They are the things that help you to spiritually connect with yourself by going out there and by trying it, by doing it, by having those conversations, just by dreaming and by going after those dreams. As I said, it could be reading all the Harry Potters or watching all the episodes of, I don't know, Grey's Anatomy back to back. I don't think I've ever watched an episode of Grey's Anatomy in my life, but you get my drift, yeah? That's what Sag needs. And this is what Temperance, again, it's about. It's about this expansion. Also, with Sagittarius sign is linked to this idea of sustained effort, you know, putting in effort. I suppose I've talked about that already. Putting in effort to achieve something, to grow something, to understand something. And it's also, finally, the sign, Sagittarius is a sign of spirituality. Now, I've got many Sagittarius friends, actually. In fact, it's one of my friends, Kiki. Yeah, it's Kiki's birthday today. Kiki, oh my God, how cool, Kiki. Happy birthday, Kiki. It's her birthday today. And she's a Sagittarius. And on Friday, I was out with, I was at my other friend's house, and there was 4 of us, 5 of us, whatever. And, you know, 4 of the girls or whatever are all Sagittarius. So it's, you know, 3 or 4 of them. So I've got a lot of Sagittarius friends. I'm a Capricorn. And really, Sagittarius, they are actually a lot more open-minded, really. And I don't mean open-minded like, you know, in a hippy-dippy way. I mean, I'm a hippie, but you know what I mean? I'm not. But you know what I'm saying? But, you know, I don't mean it in that way. I mean that, you know, for a Sagittarius, that spirituality is important. And spirituality is your personal relationship with life, with the universe, if you will, with the universal energy, with this key, okay? That's really what spirituality is. It's about your connection to that, your belonging to that, your feeling like you're a part of that. You're a part of the collective consciousness. You're a part of the collective, and because you are. And I think that actually, maybe for a Sagittarius, you have to realize that you have to get to that point in your life where, Sag, you realize that is significant to you, that you actually uncovering and understanding your own personal motivations, why you're here, and expanding that question out, you know, in order to answer it and find those answers. Really, for you, that's going to give you a huge amount of, it's going to fill your cup. It's going to give you a huge amount of satisfaction in life. And maybe it's something that happens as you get older. I don't know. But it's this sustain, it's taking action, and it's, you know, giving forward this sustained effort that leads to this expansion, that leads to this overall understanding, or this gained or increased understanding. So that's a sign of Sagittarius. And I really feel like it links, excuse me, to, I really feel like it links to the energy of Temperance. I mean, clearly it does. It's representative of that. So let me, my darlings, talk you through finally my take on Temperance, my overall take on Temperance. And this is where I refer to my notes, okay? So there was another thing I wanted to say about the number 14. And the number 14, and this is one of the quotes that came out of the book that I refer to. I'll put it's by Cavendish. I'll put the title in the description box. And one of the things that he points out in his book is that from a new moon to a full moon, that takes 14 days. And for the full moon to get to a new moon, it takes 14 days. Now, for those of you that have watched any of my astrology videos, I talk about how the moon cycle, going from the new moon, going through the different phases. Remember, there's no moon on a new moon. There's no moon in the sky. It's there, but we can't see it. So we've got new moon and then to full moon, that 14-day cycle. We have, within that time, a karmic cycle really is about us coming into awareness. It's about shedding light on what is beneath the surface. So remember, the moon refers to our internal processes, our internal emotions, how we deal with those things. And the sun is about our awareness of those things. Now, i.e. awareness of what's beneath the surface. Now, the clarity that we gain with a full moon, the light that a full moon sheds, means that we can release things, means that we can see, just like we can with the sun. Everything's illuminated. So what we've been experiencing within, what we've been feeling, what we've been going through, what's been rumbling beneath the surface, that is, with a full moon, is revealed to us. We see that. We can see that more clearly. And so I thought that it was actually quite interesting, the fact that, and it's not by accident, tarot, people might think tarot is like a made up thing, people just do it for fun. And yeah, the history of tarot, people did do it for fun, back in the day. But actually, in the 18th, 19th century, people did it for fun. But not everyone did. And where did these cards come from? Oh, that's a whole nother thing. I'll talk to you about that another time. But anyway, there's a reason why Temperance is number 14. There's a reason, because it connects to all these other things. It connects to the Golden Dawn system of divination, of mysticism. Those people that did so much work in really. If they didn't exist at the beginning of the 20th century and toward the end of the 19th century, then what we see before us would not exist either. So those people did a lot of work. And also, tarot is linked to the Tree of Life and to Kabbalah. That's the Golden Dawn system is linked to Kabbalah. And, they're able to make those links because of the time that they spend, just like I do today. I mean, I don't know exactly what they did. I've read some of the things that they did, these people. They got into some very uncomfortable positions, physical positions, to meditate with these cards. I don't go to that level, but I can still meditate on the energies without honestly some of the descriptions. But anyway, why was I telling you about this? Oh, that's why I was telling you. So what I'm trying to say is, tarot fundamentally, intrinsically is linked to astrology. It's linked to the cycles of the moon, the cycles of the sun. It's intrinsically linked to that. And that's why it's important to spend more time than just, get a card, read a book. I mean, if you want to do that, that's fine. But for me personally, I'm a Capricorn. I like to, to know these things and understand these things. So yeah, I thought that was actually quite interesting, the 14 days. The 14-day cycle and it being linked to that moon. But remember, when we have the full moon, when we have full moons every single month, we should be able to, with the full moon, any month, learn something about ourselves, know something in September that we did not know in August. We should know something in October about ourselves that we did not know in September. And that's how it should always be. And that's why if any of you watch well, of course, some of you do, watch my tarot readings, you will see that I'm not talking necessarily about, oh, this person, you're going to get married. Sometimes that happens. And sometimes I do say that, and sometimes it does happen. Generally speaking, we're talking about the energies. I'm talking to you about, okay, this is the energy that you're faced with. This is what you might feel. So what is it trying to teach you? These are the questions that you need to ask yourself. This is how I use a tarot. For me, tarot is about questions. It's about the questions that it makes me ask, okay? So when I was, I thought that was really interesting and important. Let's talk a little bit about some of the other, I've got my notes, I've got so many notes, and these are all my little, ruminations and reflections. I mean, look, this is one of the things that I put, you know, because the definition. I mean, it talks about, and it says mixing different ingredients in different proportions. That's what temperance is. And I put next to it Pista Sofia. Now, you might have heard me talk about Pista Sofia on my channel, those people who follow me and who watch my videos. Pista Sofia is actually one of the Gnostic Gospels. And a Gnostic Gospel is, Gnostic means, or Gnosis means truth or knowledge. And, you know, for those people that know, there's many Gospels written, not just the 4 that are in the Bible or the current, you know, in the current incarnation of the Bible. There's many more, and Pista Sofia is one of these Gospels. And I read this so many years ago now, maybe 5-6 years ago. I read Pista Sofia and was fascinated. And one of the things that I've spoke about this so many times, one of the in Pista Sofia, basically, it's the first part of the book or the Gospel is about a journey that Pista Sofia takes, and it's actually a spiritual journey, even though it doesn't tell you it's a spiritual journey. It is, okay? It's a spiritual journey. It's a journey through enlightenment, which means it's dark in places, and then she goes through levels of understanding, etc. Blah blah blah. And then at the second half of the book, which is another 90 chapters, 95 chapters, 100 chapters, I can't remember how many chapters. It's very long, and yes, it took me a long time to read it, but it's basically Jesus and his disciples, and the disciples are asking questions to Jesus, and Jesus is asking them. The majority of the questions, for some reason, are asked by Mary Magdalene. I don't know why, but I love that. And she's asking questions. And one of the things that they talk about, there's a point to this. One of the things that they talk about is they say that, the mysteries of the ineffable. That's what they call it. And I actually had to Google ineffable because I didn't know what it meant. And ineffable means really difficult to understand. So the mysteries are something very difficult to understand. And Jesus talks about, you know, the mixture. So the world was being a mixture, and everything was in this mixture. And we all have to take, God, it's quite confusing to explain it to you, but I'll tell you, we all take a part of this mixture, or we are all a part of this mixture in different proportions. And it linked me to that memory, and that memory and that idea links to the idea of, again, this. Remember, this water, this key, this is representative of chi, of universal energy, of our life force. That's what it's representative of. And actually, temperance is about the fact that you are a part of this, that we are all a part of this mixture, that we are all one, and that actually, in times of temperance, you should be able to feel that. You should be able to experience that. For me, temperance is actually the ultimate card of karma. For me, temperance is actually the ultimate card of the collective consciousness and the collective unconsciousness and of intuition, of being part of the whole. I mean, I talk about the fact that, where is it? Let me find it. Oh, in fact, it's there, yeah. Look, recognizing that you are part of the whole, being a part of the collective consciousness. It's as if time passes, you know, past, present, future, all mingle in one with temperance. And you should be able to feel that this month. You should be able to feel that in the time of Sagittarius season, or when you have a card of temperance. This is a very spiritual card. It's that idea of being a part of the whole. I mean, I spoke a little bit about, at the beginning, about, you know, we have this idea of temperance as being a card of waiting, as being a card of waiting, you know. We have this idea. I'm trying to find the right notes. Here we go. Sorry, I've got loads of notes. we have this idea about it being a card of waiting. Here it is. Look. So people understand the waiting as an element of temperance. People people understand it as an idea of, okay, we have been waiting and now it's time to finally move. But actually, that is not what temperance is. Temperance is not waiting. You have not been waiting. You have been listening, or you should be. So what did you hear? If we see this card of temperance, this means you're actually going through a very spiritual time. You might be feeling disorientated. That's why I link this card to the Seven of Cups. Side note. You might be feeling disorientated, uncertain, like you're daydreaming. Like, how did I get? How did I get to work today? I can't remember driving. It's because temperance isn't being at work. Temperance isn't being at home. Temperance is the time that we spend in between. Where is your head then? What are you thinking then? What are you feeling then? What are you experiencing then? In those times in between. That's where temperance is. That's where we find temperance. Temperance is not in the action. It's not in, okay, I'm being here. It's not. Temperance isn't the cup or this cup. Temperance is the water being poured between it, and you should and can feel and resonate with that energy. You should be able to. I mean, I wasn't going to do this, but I might actually. I wrote something yesterday because I was preparing for the video, as I said. So I prepare in the same way. I go through my notes. I make notes in meditation. I speak out loud and I make the notes. And I was going to write a post because I went walking with Tiny, as I always do, or as I usually do. And I was about to write a post, and actually it turned into something else. And I'm going to share it with you. And I wasn't going to do this, but I'm going to share it with you. This is one of my many books that I write in. And I wasn't going to share this with you, but I'm going to actually. And the reason I'm sharing this with you, just a second, Tiny's being noisy. Just a second. Tiny, shut up. Now, I wasn't going to share this with you, but I feel inspired to. Now, remember, I don't really plan my videos. I just talk, and that's why they can go on. But it's worth it to stay to the end, actually, isn't it, this one? It's the moments in between, and I want you to recognize that you can actually feel and experience temperance. You will know what I mean. So what I want you to do is I want you to think about this in summation before I read you this last little passage. In summation, I want you to think about this. This is something I wrote the other night. What creates the moments are the moments in between. Let me say that again. What creates the moments are the moments in between. That is temperance. This is temperance. Now, when I say the moments, you know, people think, oh, I want to get married. I want to have kids. I want to get this new job. I'm going to do interviews. You know, this is what people want. This is that moment. They want the interview. They want the job. They want the man. They want the woman. They want the ring. But actually, that's not what life's about. What life's about are the moments in between where you have to feel, you have to be resonant, you have to be mindful, you have to be aware of what you are experiencing, and you can feel that. And if you don't believe me, I promise you, after I've read you this, you're going to believe me. Okay, this is the last part of the video. I'm going to read this. It's going to take about a minute to read it to you, and then I'm signing off. I want you to close your eyes, get comfortable, be mindful. Actually, before I read that, I forgot about this one. Temperance is not asking us to investigate or to reflect. Temperance is asking us to be there. You've got to recognise what it feels like to be a part of the whole. That is what temperance is for. Karma, it's the card of karma, it's the card of mindfulness. Okay. You tell me now, how does this feel? Some of my most beautiful and healing moments have taken place in nature. I wander through the trees, noticing the breeze and the colours of the leaves, and I hear the magpies and the blackbirds calling. I am moved into silence, into quiet contemplation, within myself, within each footstep, within each breath that I breathe in. I am held. I am still. I am here. I am moving. I am free. And I can hear everything, see everything, touch everything. I am a part of everything, and my soul knows it. And I am here for this moment only, and I shall always be.